Demi-servant reporting. Class Shielder. Name Svalinn-Odin. I hope that I can be of service to you, Master. What's that? I don't need to be so nervous. I'm not nervous. You're nervous.
Hey there, party people. It's finally time to get to my next fan servant. This is also the final class that I will be covering that has been mentioned in the Fate series. That wording is very important. But in the future, I will make a video about the other named classes, such as Gunner, Gatekeeper, and Watcher, and I may introduce a fan servant concept or two during that video, but it won't be in this format. Still, for this penultimate video of the series, I think the Shielder class is quite appropriate, as it is a very special class indeed, having only a single member, technically, because Tachi isn't canon. But other than being the title of the most specialist Kohai that ever was, Mosh Kierlight, this class itself is fundamentally not special. You could probably stick your hand inside of a barrel of figures from various European myths, grab a fistful, and find 2 or 3 names that strongly qualify for this class. Hell, in Scandinavian folklore alone, female warriors are generally called shield maidens, which is relevant. But despite the shield's prevalent nature to legends and myths spanning from Greece to Greenland, I had to get a class card thrown together by my lovely coworker, because even though Mosh is God's #1 eggplant, the game developers can't be asked to make this class their own card. But Voyager sure can get one, where he isn't even the figure of the card like BB is with Moon Cancer most of the time. It's his class! What are we even doing here? Anyway, my gripes about the class and class cards in general aside, I still need to properly introduce my fan servant, Svalinn-Odin, who is a demi-servant of one of my master OCs, Clayborn Mycroft, making this come full circle since she was first introduced in my Brian Baru Saber video. Thank you to Kiera R, aka Bunny Voices, for providing the amazing voice of this servant. Did a fantastic job. Also, they just really saved my bacon, because I had completely forgotten to commission a voice until right before I was going to edit this video. I am a dumb boy. Art of the servant is once again provided by the amazing and wonderful Sabina, who worked extra hard on this one, especially to make sure that the shield looked really, really awesome, and to avoid using the various Nordic imagery that has been tainted by the hands of filthy fucking Nazis. So many symbols that could have been used, but Lord knows I don't want someone to look at the thumbnail and call me a Nazi before watching the video to get the context. I don't trust the internet like that. Now, my second tangent aside, there are layers here, as I'm sure you're expecting, so try not to get too distracted by her glorious abs. I wanted to really have fun with the concept for a Shielder servant, because there are so many obvious choices, and I crave to be different so long as it makes me cool. The first layer is the fact that there really isn't a full, original heroic spirit to this character in a way, which is part of why she's a demi-servant instead of a pseudo-servant. Svalinn is the main spirit origin, but it's not a person, it's just a shield. Odin's consciousness isn't actually part of the spirit origin, only aspects of him, tying to the plot point that Odin has given aspects of himself to several characters, like Scotty and Castor Ku. I really like that idea, and I wanted to use it. This brings us the first skill, All-Father's Shield, which applies a one-hit invincibility to the party, greatly increases the party's NP gain when hit, and increases their art effectiveness. This is because Svalinn technically doesn't have a proper owner outside of Odin in Norse myth, so while obviously doing the protection thing, it's also imparting some of Odin's wisdom to its allies, which will come up again later. It's not a tool that is seen in combat, but its purpose is still to protect the entire world, specifically from the sun. Svalinn, which translates to cold or chill, is the Old Norse understanding of the ozone layer, shielding us from being cooked alive by solar radiation. This thing dates all the way back to BCE. If you don't think that's the coolest goddamn thing, then you are beyond any help that I, as a mortal man, can offer you. But hey, now you know why there's a layer of frost on the shield, and Claiborne is dressed in blues. You also know why I'm calling the second skill Protection from the Sun. With this, Svalinn-Odin increases the defense of the party and decreases the attack and NP damage of enemies. It also decreases the NP gauge of enemies with the Sun attribute. And finally, it removes the sunlit field condition, which I think is a really fun shakeup to the field mechanics. But yes, this is a wildly straightforward defense plus specialized defense skill. Shields block, and this one specifically hates Gawain, you understand. For the third skill, I mentioned earlier that Odin is imparting wisdom through the shield. And indeed, that is a big part of the aspect he imparted. Honestly, it's a big part of every aspect he's been imparting onto characters, but we got more of it here. Case in point, Claiborne's eye is perpetually closed, being symbolic of Odin's eye that he sacrificed for great knowledge. Though of course, as a human, Claiborne cannot handle having all of the knowledge that such a powerful deity does. But she can be a conduit for it, most strongly through her third skill, Sacrificed Eye, Support. When activated, the party's NP gauges increase, and Svalinn-Odin gains critical stars while lowering her own critical star absorption and max HP. On top of this, she increases the party's critical hit resistance and puts on a timer buff where next turn, all skill cooldowns drop by 1. The NP gauge and lowering of the max HP is self-explanatory, knowledge and sacrifice. Everything else is more akin to imparting wisdom as strategy, letting your allies hit weak spots better, protect their own weak spots, and helping them to maximize their own skill sets more. If you're going to be a wall, you gotta make sure that your spears are as sharp as they can be. I think that analogy works. Still, even with all of this, all of the things Odin has imparted onto Claiborne when she was made into a demi-servant through Svalinn, he gifted her one more thing, his very hall. With her arch-noble phantasm, Halls of Valhalla, Svalinn-Odin creates a reality marble, where allies have their debuffs removed. Furthermore, they get debuff immunity and anti-purge defense for uses equal to the NP level. And on top of that, they get increased buff removal resistance, which increases the percentage by overcharge level. The Hall of Heroes, where you go after dying a valiant and glorious death, where the only things that you have to worry about is eating, drinking, and getting into zero consequence bar fights until it's time for Ragnarok. It's a form of heaven, where you are eternal, and I wanted to showcase that by making it the most stally, bullshit noble phantasm that I can think of, which would be the most insanely toxic set to have if this game had PvP. Fans of strategies that make the number of turns get ever closer to 4 digits, you're welcome. You can thank me by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Also, consider becoming a member so that I can keep affording all of the art that I get for my videos. But anyway, that is my shielder servant, Svalinn-Odin, aka Claiborne Mycroft. I do hope you enjoyed this video with all of the trivia I sprinkled into your brain. I wrote this script while hype out of my mind on insane amounts of caffeine, and I think it's one of my best works. I would thank the brand that led to this achievement, but GamerSupps doesn't sponsor me yet, but maybe someday. I do hope you'll look forward to the finale of this Creating My Own Servant series, where not only will I be making my own servant, but my own class as well. And for a hint of what that will be, one of two things is about to happen. Either a song will be playing as I fade to black, and the little outro animation starts playing. Or, the same song will play for maybe a second, and that animation will play in deafening silence, because YouTube wouldn't let me have nice things. Let's see what happens, and then I'll see you next time in the void. Later.